Good morning and welcome back. I'm joined by Dr. Casey Harbine for another edition of Morning Rounds. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah.
All right, flu vaccine myths. I feel like we go over this every flu season, but it's an important topic to talk about. So, time of the year for flu shots and flu vaccines. When is a good time to get them?
Well, right now, in fact, actually they recommended it before the end of October, but absolutely anytime. We've already started seeing flu already, and actually the last couple years what we see is there's a little bit of a spike in September, early October, kind of dies down, then we start really seeing flu again come January and lasts all through the spring. So now's the time to get it.
So who is the flu vaccine for? Anyone specific or just general population?
Right, well actually now it's recommended for everyone over 6 months of age. But most especially children under 5, pregnant women, immunocompromised people, people over 65 years old, anyone exposed to those people, anyone with chronic lung disease.
And sometimes we hear the flu vaccine doesn't work. So is that really true?
Well, you know, there's always a little bit of truth to that because certainly I see people who get the flu vaccine and then get the flu. But what it really means is it's not as effective as, say, measles or whooping cough, but it still is effective. It actually reduces the rate of transmission of flu by 40 to 60%. Part of the trouble is the flu virus changes every year, and in fact it even changes during the flu season. So getting a vaccine that's 100% effective is just not possible.
Here's one that drives me nuts, and I think a lot of people. Does a flu vaccine cause the flu?
It does not cause the flu! The flu vaccine is an inactive virus. It's dead. It is unable, absolutely unable to replicate in the body, so it cannot cause the flu. It takes 2 weeks to take effect, however, to preventing the flu. Obviously, the time in which we're getting the flu vaccine is the time in which we're getting flu, or paraflu, or adenovirus, or a zillion other things that cause the common cold. And so it is coincidence. It is not the flu vaccine.
And of course, what about those who don't want to get the vaccine? I mean, should they worry about getting their family members sick, and what can they do to prevent that?
Right. So actually, yeah, not getting the flu vaccine. Sometimes what I hear is folks don't want to get the vaccine because they're afraid that they're going to, by getting the vaccine, spread that virus to a family member. But that actually, the bigger risk is not getting the vaccine. If you live with somebody who has bad chronic lung disease, immunocompromised, otherwise can't get the vaccine, it is really important for you to get it.
So what about, we kind of talked about it briefly, what about pregnant women?
Right, so pregnant women is strongly recommended in your second and third trimester to get the flu vaccine. For one, children under the age of 6 months actually are not supposed to get the vaccine. So when you're pregnant, you develop the antibodies that you pass on to your child. So you can actually cover your child for flu, your newborn infant for flu, if you've gotten the vaccine while you were pregnant.
What about those who have egg allergies? Should they not get the flu vaccine?
Right, so actually if you, in the past, if you've had an anaphylaxis to eggs, then it's recommended that the standard flu vaccine has kind of an egg protein base that you don't get the vaccine. If you got hives, though, you could still get it, and then you just have to be monitored. But now they actually also have an egg-free vaccine that you can get.
Oh, okay. So some people say, I never get the flu, or I've already had the flu. I mean, I don't know who doesn't get the flu, who's immune to it.
Right. My answer to people who say, I've never had the flu, then it sounds like your number's up. And I think you'd want to protect yourself. And the thing about the flu vaccine is there's not just one flu. There's actually a number of different types of flu that we see every year. There's a couple different influenza A's, there's influenza B, and the flu vaccine will cover either 3 or 4 different types of flu. So if you already had the flu, you probably don't want another flu this year. So get the vaccine.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us for this edition of Morning Rounds. If you have a question you'd like us to answer, you can just email it right on over to us, morningrounds@kpax.com.